is approaching me now is because they're asking me the question, why are people not vaccinating their pets? Okay? So that's the question that they're asking me and they want me to answer. Now, the reason why people are not vaccinating their pets, or at least vaccination is down, is multifocal, but the main reason is because people are not being told the truth about these vaccines. There's an issue here. There's always truth, okay? And then there's what people do to manipulate situations for their own benefit. So let's talk about the vaccines then. Why are people choosing not to vaccinate? Well, particularly the smaller pets, as we know, are getting overdosed. You know, when the state board says to me, as a doctor in Connecticut, that I have to give a full CC to a 5-pound dog, even if it kills them, there's a problem. And they made that statement to me. Now, we know smaller pets need a lower volume. We know smaller pets have more reactions. We know smaller pets get a higher titer when given the same volume as a larger pet. All those things are truths, scientifically proven over and over again. And yet, the industry wants to deny that, the pharmaceutical industry and the veterinary profession. So what are people going to do when their pets are getting sick because they're being over-vaccinated? They're going to stop vaccinating. They're going to look for a way out. So mainstream is asking me the question, why are people not vaccinating? Because their pets are being injured and killed when they go into veterinary hospitals when they're supposed to be going into a pet-safe place that actually enhances the pet's life. But in reality, it's injurious to the pets. Many get sick, some die. Now let's talk about over-vaccination. Okay? Here's another reason why people don't want to vaccinate. Because there's truth. The truth is what? That we can easily measure antibody levels in the bloodstream for distemper, parvo, and rabies, all of which, if a titer's done, that's the blood test, and those antibodies are measurable, those pets have immunity. And yet they're going into veterinary hospitals being told their pet is due for a vaccine. When in fact, the truth is, because you see there is truth, that titer indicates immunity. So to give that pet an injection of something that has no medical benefit but could injure or kill it is injurious to the pets. It's malpractice. And that goes on day in and day out in every veterinary hospital. And you, the educated client, know that, and so you're saying, no, I'm not going to vaccinate that pet. It's the truth, okay? Let's talk about vaccines that aren't necessary, vaccines that have no protection to begin with. The Lyme vaccine. When you have 4 out of 6 veterinarians that are on the board determining the validity of the Lyme vaccine, and these are some of the top veterinary researchers in the country saying the vaccine doesn't work, and yet it's injected all over this country because those vets either don't get that information or aren't listening. Again, the truth is that Lyme vaccine does not protect that pet against Lyme disease. But they're walking into hospitals being told that it doesn't, injuring their pets by giving that vaccine when there's no medical benefit. It's the truth. So you want to know why people don't want to vaccinate? Because they don't want to use a vaccine that doesn't work but could injure their pet. Again, that's malpractice. The same is true with the lepto vaccine. Very little immunity, and you'd have to vaccinate that pet every 3 months to keep any immunity up, and you'd kill it in the process. Do clients want to do that to their pet? Of course not. Because the truth is it doesn't work and it's going to injure their pets. Let's talk about the Bordetella vaccine. That's a live vaccine. You're giving that pet the sickness. You're giving that pet Bordetella. Did you know in one instance where an intranasal Bordetella vaccine was given to a dog and that dog sneezed in the room, there was an 8-year-old girl who 2 or 3 days later was in the hospital with Bordetella pneumonia from that live vaccine. She almost died. Okay? That's the truth. Do you want to give your dog a sickness to try to prevent a sickness? I don't think so. Okay? That's the truth. So you want to know why people don't want to vaccinate? Because people know that what they're being sold is a bag of goods, and that these veterinary hospitals are making money at the expense of their pets, and they don't want to do that, so they're not going to vaccinate. It's the truth, okay? So that's what we're dealing with here, okay? And as we educate each other, now, veterinarians, they don't want to injure pets. They've been sold a bill of goods starting in vet school because the pharmaceutical companies are the ones that are paying the way. Did you know I know of 2 deans of veterinary schools that once they stopped being in that veterinary school, they were on the board of a pharmaceutical company or the Mars candy bar company. Now, what's up with that? Because the deans, I'm not saying all of them, but many of them are in cahoots with the money machines supporting the agenda and the veterinary school curriculum. So you got these kids coming out of school being sold a bill of goods. And they go in and start what? Overdosing, over-vaccinating, and inappropriately vaccinating your pets. And they have to learn the hard way by watching those pets get sick and then understanding that the curriculum that they were given was not the true picture, not any science that showed the problems, but the science that supported the agenda of the pharmaceutical companies, which is twisted science, and it's not the truth. Okay? So, the reason that I'm being interviewed in mainstream now, they don't want to interview me. They want to ignore me, and they've been ignoring me. Why? Because I'm educating you, the consumer, the pet owner, because guess who has the power? If you, the pet owner, don't spend your money in these veterinary hospitals, then they go out of business. If you, the pet owner, don't consume those vaccines, then these pharmaceutical companies go out of business. Okay? So they're twisting the truth to stay in business. That's the truth. Okay? And what I'm doing is educating you, the pet owner, the consumer, so that you can get the right medicine. Now, again, I'm not against vaccination. I'm against overdosing, over-vaccination, and inappropriate vaccination. If veterinary hospitals would vaccinate correctly, the smallest volume and the lowest number of vaccines to produce immunity, which can be verified by a titer, and stop there, you, the pet owner, would be glad to protect your pet against rabies, against parvo, against distemper. Yes, these are diseases your pets can die of, and these diseases cause a lot of suffering in these pets. And of course, rabies is zoonotic and people can get it. So of course, you pet owners want to protect your pets for those things. That's the truth. But what you don't want to do is overdose them in the process, over-vaccinate them when they've already got immunity, or give vaccines like the lepto and Lyme and bordetella, which don't work but can make your pet sick. You don't want to do that. Or the flu vaccine. And the scare tactics used to talk about these epidemics that don't exist to push you into doing something that's not best for your pet. When you're in the veterinary office and you start to ask questions about these vaccines and the veterinarian says, well, I got a dog in the back dying of distemper. You don't want that to happen to your dog. You need to stop right there. That's a fear tactic. That's not the truth. Okay? Now again, many veterinarians are sold a bill of goods, but they've got to work their way through the system, watch what happens to the pets, then reach outside of the science that's spoon-fed to them that really is pseudoscience manipulated by the pharmaceutical companies to promote their agenda, which is a profit-making agenda. They've got to sift through all that, and they've got to start to find the truth, which if you go to my website, protectthepets.com, they can read the science and start putting 2 and 2 together, the deleterious effects they're seeing in their own clinics after they do these things to these pets, and then find out why, because the science is there to prove what I'm saying. That's the truth. Now, we as human beings, when we sow good into the lives of others, be it another human being or a pet, that's when we feel good about who we are. That's when we're serving the greater good. And that's what life is about, folks. It's not about making money. It's about doing good. Who's ever in front of you having their best interests in terms of what you say to them or what you do for them. And with this whole overdosing, over-vaccination, inappropriate vaccination agenda, the opposite is happening. These vets don't feel good about themselves with what they're doing, nor do the associate veterinarians that are forced to follow suit in a practice that has made vaccination its main attraction to that hospital. The card, right? You get that card. Now, of course, you get a text message. It's time for the shot. No, it's not time for the shot. It may be time to do a titer and see if indeed your pet already has immunity. But it's not time to give an injection of something where your pets had that in the past and nobody's checked to see if that pet has immunity, which in most cases it will for life from those prior vaccines. And I'm speaking the truth because I've done enough titers to tell you that's the truth.